the Headless Terror. It was a foggy autumn evening when Claire decided to take the shortcut home through the old country road. The road, lined with ancient trees and crumbling stone walls, was rarely traveled. Stories of ghostly sightings had surrounded this area for generations, but Claire wasn't one to believe in superstitions. As she walked, her footsteps echoed eerily in the stillness. The wind rustled the leaves, and the mist seemed to thicken with every step. Ahead, the silhouette of an abandoned stone bridge came into view. Local legends whispered of a headless horseman who haunted this very path, a soldier from centuries ago who had been executed during a bloody rebellion. Claire felt a chill but shook it off. "Just stories," she muttered, quickening her pace. But as she approached the bridge, an unnatural silence fell over the area. The usual sounds of crickets and rustling leaves ceased, replaced by an oppressive quiet. Then she heard it, a faint, rhythmic sound of hooves striking the ground. The noise grew louder, accompanied by the distant jingle of metal as if spurs were being shaken. Claire's heart began to race. She turned to look behind her, but the fog made it impossible to see. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling. The response was chilling. A low, guttural growl reverberated through the air, followed by a thunderous gallop. From the mist emerged a massive black horse, its eyes glowing like embers. On its back sat a rider, clad in tattered armor and a cloak that fluttered like smoke. But where the rider's head should have been, there was only emptiness. Claire froze in terror as the headless figure turned its body toward her, as if it could see her even without eyes. In its gloved hand it held a gleaming axe, stained dark as though with dried blood. Without thinking, Claire bolted, her feet pounding against the uneven road. The horseman's pursuit was relentless. The galloping hooves seemed to echo in her very chest, each beat louder than the last. She darted off the path, plunging into the dense woods. The branches clawed at her skin, but she didn't dare slow down. She could still hear the horse crashing through the underbrush, impossibly fast. Suddenly she tripped on a root and fell hard to the ground. Pain shot through her ankle, but she scrambled to her feet, her breaths ragged. The mist swirled ahead of her, and she saw the faint outline of a cabin. A desperate hope flared within her, and she limped toward it. She reached the door and threw it open, slamming it shut behind her. The cabin was dark and empty, save for a single candle flickering on a table. Claire leaned against the wall, her entire body shaking. But the reprieve was short-lived. The candle's flame flickered violently before extinguishing. The room plunged into darkness, and the sound of hooves returned, louder and closer than ever. A cold, invisible hand gripped her shoulder. Claire turned, her scream dying in her throat as she came face to face with the rider's missing head, now floating in the air, its hollow eyes staring straight into her soul. The last thing Claire heard was the metallic swish of the axe.